Be'ez Hashem, Parshas Pinchas, Tavshin Pei-Vav. The previous shurim, I think the last two shurim, started discussing the concept of complaining. That the source, when someone complains, is upset, very, very frustrated, is really a result of forgetting that the Rebbeinu Shem runs the world and everything is custom tailored for you and it's letoiv. Now, of course, we tend to forget this simple concept because it's a milchama, it's a struggle as long as our noilam haza to look at things the way we're supposed to and to remember that the Rebbeinu Shem runs the world. And this is really one of the biggest reasons to come to this world. That even though there's a hester, we don't see how everything is bashgocha pratis. We don't see the Rebbeinu Shem running everything. This is our amunah. We believe the Eibishter is mashgiach, the Rebbeinu Shem is doing everything exact, and that it's latoiva. The Eibishter is a toiva meitiv. Now, when a person feels that they need to vent, and they're very, very upset, and they're very frustrated, and they're looking for someone to listen, so many times the person wants that the other party should say, you're 100% right. Validation. We're looking for validation. And then we come home and we say, you see, he even says that I'm right. But if we really want to steig, or we want to live life the way it was meant to be and enjoy life, this mahalach of wanting to get validated to the sense that all you want to hear is that I'm right, it's a gefährlich. It really is not going to get you anywhere in life. And ultimately, it really brings the person to more frustration and more frustration. It means that not only ruchni is you're not living the right way, but even emotionally, stam to be a happy person, a calm person, stam getting validated, someone listened to me, someone also holds like me, is not really going to bring you calmness, healthiness, emotionally regulated. It's not going to really work. It's like Tylenol. For many reasons. Because, and let's try to understand it, it's true that a person needs to feel validated, klappe, why they feel the way they feel. It's very important. Someone to help you feel that you're normal, that you feel like this. That makes sense. That's important. To help you understand why you're feeling like that. To feel with you, to give you that sympathy. But then, if a person really wants to move on and fix themselves and to live life better, then the emissary refuah, the real refuah, is that a person should chab the fact that I'm so frustrated. That fact comes because I forgot that the Rebbeinu Shem runs this world. And I forgot to remember Ashgacha Pratis, and that it's Letoiv, and it's nobody's fault, it's just Rebbeinu Shem doing it, and it's B'Sei Gomra. Don't blame yourself, don't blame others. If you're not going to get to that point, you're not going to get healed, because that's the emes. The emes is, let's try to see the steps to how it works. The emes is that the Rebbeinu Shalom orchestrated, the Rebbeinu Shalom set up that way, and it was supposed to be like that. And in the craziest stories, that someone lied to you, and someone found out afterwards that it was a mamash, someone did it bedafka. Sometimes it can be after a shidduch. You find out it was mamash. Allah, the ganze Sache, it's such frustration. Mamash, it's so deep, the pain. Of the emes is that the Rebbeinu Shalom is the one that made it happen. Now, we'll never be able to feel be'emes better when we go with sheker. It's the number one klal. The world has a system. If you're trying to work with sheker, you're never really going to get anywhere. And that's the emes. That's the erste Sache. But there's a deeper understanding that's very, very important to chap. Why? If a person runs away from that truth, they're never really going to get helped emotionally. That's because the klal, we mentioned this Rashi in Parshas Chukas, in the Shir last week. The klal is that when a person can make sense of the matziv, then the emotions don't have where to go. You don't have how to process it. You can't process it, so it's like trauma. It just stays there, and it bothers you, and it never goes away. If you could process your emotions, then things could fall into place. Now, people think that processing your emotions only means validating. It's called fear, it's called anxiety, and if I process it and I say by the name, then validation means, and you have the full right to feel like that. It's not true. Processing emotions, of course, also means chapping why you feel like that. Why is it a trigger? What does it remind you of? What are you so scared? Why does it shake you to the core, emes? But then, a big chilik of being able to understand what's going on is being honest about my chesroinus. And a person should be able to say, I realize that I forgot this Yisod of Amun. It's because it's a Baal Bechir, it's against me, because it's a person that was Boicha and I know him. I happen to know his father and his grandfather. And this is going on for years. And I knew. I told my wife beforehand, he's going to do that. Because it's a figure. And you could feel that person deciding for you and having bad midas. That's why it's very, very, it's mamash hard. It's a big struggle to stay with the Emun that has nothing to do with him, to the Bunchland that led you, that you should be around him and be officially hurt by him. We can understand why it was such a big nisoyan. It's not a problem. But if we're not going to finish it off by saying, I had a nisoyan and I fell through. And the source why I fell through is because I'm not yet all the way there. Even though sometimes I look like I'm this Balamun and we talking in positive area sometimes, but then when it's something that's more sensitive, I'm not all the way there. And then eventually I'm set it up in a way that I should go through an nisoyan that's going to expose my schwachkeit. Because Abisha wants to help me, that I should know that I have to work on it. That I have to really get to work to try to become a better person and more yisoidi, more fundamental. Now, when a person is lying to themselves about their reason behind it, I don't really care. Again, I mamish don't care. It's just that, and then they say, you're never going to feel better. As much as you validate it on the spot right now, but basof, you're not really, every time we get to the nakuda, you run away. And why do people run away when it comes to the nakuda? Because it's embarrassing. It's very, very embarrassing. Because the truth, because I needed the covet. And that's why I was so, mamash, I was so lost. I was so upset because it hurt my ego. People don't want to go there, but as long as you're not going to go there, a person's not going to heal. It's a very sharp memory maybe, but when a person has Choser Emunah inside, it has to be dealt with. If not, the person doesn't come to the tachlis, and it's going to hurt. It's going to come and it's going to haunt you and hurt you in many different ways. And that's why the Rebbe presents matzovim, that they expose the schwachkeit of a person. And it's a toiva. Because right now you know to deal with it. The Prioritz, the Mendel Vitebska says that that's what it really means. The Cheta Egel, it was only Lahoyris Tshuva the Rabbim. He says it doesn't mean that the Pshat is it wasn't. They had tainas by the Yamsuf. They weren't done with all the complaints and all the cheshbonis, and they thought that they don't have any issues because they were by Bar Sinai, they were dancing, and they were like so elevated. But now, when we're done with Kriyas Yamsuf, we're done with Matan Torah, and we have to meet the day-to-day, Monday mornings, the Rebbeinu Shalom Dafka presented them with a Nisoyan, so it should expose this matziv, this schwachkeit that they have, this chisaron. And it was a toiva for them. It was a toiva, because now we can work on it. Now we can get rid of it. You know, when the doctor finds something, it's not geschmack, but lemaisa, there's a toiva that comes out from it, because we could be metafel, and then the person could be healthy. Imagine that a person goes to the doctor, and the doctor found the growth. And then the doctor says, listen, we're going to have to discuss this, because it's something that's going to need treatment. Let's talk. And then they sit, and the guy says, let me hear a little bit about your history. And then he hears, oh, don't ask. He had an abusive mother, and he had a terrible childhood, and don't ask. And the doctor says, you know something? You're right. I validate you. You don't have to do anything about it. It doesn't make any sense. Now this is be'etzem, when a person gets so frustrated and can't leave go and can't calm down about the matzah, upset at this, upset at that. It's true that the person is being triggered many times in a very, very sensitive spot. And it's true that it's maybe a high profile nisoyan. And you're being validated that it's a hard nisoyan. That's true. But if we stop right there, the frustration itself is because a person didn't work on something. It could be gaiva, it could be pachad, it could be chesed. It's usually the core yisoidus of Yiddishkeit, which is not yet, you didn't work it through. So now, maybe she gave you a hard nisoyan, we validated. If I would be in your spot, I don't know, I could have looked much worse. Not about not validating. It's about taking it to the next step. Now we need to work on the core issues, and this could be the reason why David presented us such a hard nisayan, to find out that we need to work on this. But even more, when a person observes themselves, it means afterwards they look back and they see how they reacted and what they did when they were frustrated, and how they really lost it or whatever. When you look back, if a person goes with the says, the Rambam in Hilchos Shuvah says, Nichamti, I have charata, I feel bad, I wish I wouldn't act like that. Boishti b'maaseh, I'm embarrassed of the way I acted. That's vidui. What's the maila? It's a moidig maila, this vidui. Vidui has a word, confession. I mean, a person is misvad. What's the tachlis? Tachlis, the erste Sache is, let's understand what happened. Usually a person only wants to understand what happened, the first part of the Maisa. So again, you had this and this expectation, okay? Write that down. And then you were in total shock. You couldn't believe it. A person put away money for a psachasana plan for 15 years. And then they come to Maisa and they said, it was a scam, the ganze Sache. And they don't know Me'ayin Yavayezi. Write down what happened. Wow. Must have been like, you thought the world is caving in. Okay, write that down. What happened afterwards? What were the Mahalchei HaMachshava? We validate from the beginning till the end. We try to understand what happened, and then, so this is what you did. So then you called up the guy and you told him you never moichel him. So why? What did you feel when you were doing that? Why did you feel it's going to help you? You wanted to be noikim. You wanted to explain to him what to do. I want you to know what you did to my family. You just ruined. You should just know. I'm making bar mitzvah tonight. By needing to say, what were you thinking? You go through the ganze circle. If a person is masking to say the truth, you ask him to say it out of your mouth. When you calm down, when you look back, when you reflect the matziv, verbalize the whole zach that happened. Then it's a full circle. You could really start this circle. The Tzanzer of Ba'agodah Shel Pesach, he would start from Bereshis. He wouldn't start on Mitchila Oivdei Avodah Zorah, Avodah Mo'inu. No. There's a system here. He would say, the Eibusher created the world, and there was a tachlis for all the Yiddish and Neshamas. And the Eibusher put them in the Mitzrayim. They say, what happened? It makes a lot of sense. Really, a person that wants to say the whole story and have what's going on, you can start from Bereshis. The Eibusher created mankind and gave them a guf and gave them a Neshama. Yeah, say the whole story. Say the Haggadah, then you'll have everything that's going on. And the Eibusher is, if you misboinen, if a person lives that type of life, then they could see Hashgacha Pratis all over the place. And they could see the Eibusher's Atova. Not normal. The Toivas the Eibusher did to him, and the kirva that he felt, right, the whole thing. And what the Rebbeinu Shalom put that Neshama in a guf. And gave all types of interesting type of nisyonis. Everyone has uniqueness yonis. And the Eibusher puts them in such matzavim and days and that you're caught in surprise. And many times, if not most, in the most sensitive parts of your nefesh, the Eibusher tests you. And what's the tachlis? And then it happened to me. Then you become the first-hand story. And then this is what happened to me. And in the first glance, I was so upset. I wanted to, then I chapped. Wow, so that's the pshat of the Chet Eitz Hadas by me. That's the pshat. This is what happened to me. I forgot, and I looked at this world the way it seems to be, and that one is to blame, and the other one, and I trusted him too much, and I shouldn't have never done that. And then I chapped. Wow. That was a Yetzer Hara. Now, let's go back and let's repeat the story and say it the right way. Famous Vasemis, the beginning of Vayigash. Yehuda repeats the story. Vayigash Elav Yehuda. He tells Yosef, our father told us to go down to Mitzrayim. And then he told us to send not to Binyamin. And then you asked us, why does he have to repeat this whole story? So this Vasemis, because if you get tangled up in a story and all of a sudden you're stuck at that end, rewind, go back, and start saying the story like a yid. And then they wish to set up Matzav Aleph. And then you know what's going to happen if you rewind and say over the whole story the right way? Yosef is going to reveal himself. You're going to all of a sudden see Hashem, you're going to see the Kedusha. That's going to be the result. Now, by this Mahalach, why are we saying you should say the whole story? You should start from, it sounds like a funny zach. You should say from Bereshit. Like, what are you trying to bring out? The word is very simple. What would you tell your teenage boy that felt comfortable enough to be open with you and tell you a little bit about his struggles? Geschmack, warm, open, honest, soft. What would you answer? You know what you would answer? Every normal person would say, wow, wow, wow. First, I'm so excited that you're so honest and you're so open and you're so, let me tell you something. First of all, you should know it's normal. When you're telling that kid it's normal, you're not telling him you're right. You're telling him, I want to explain to you something about teenage years. I'm a little bit older. I want to, with ahava, hold your hand. You're normal that it's really tough. It's be'emes stuff. I can't believe it. B'tzad I want to tell you something. Met Hashem, you're going to be matzliach, especially if this is your gisha, if this is the way you're handling it. Let me give you a tip. Let me give you this and this and that. Come back to me, and if you tell me if it helps. It's a struggle. You're going from godless into godless, but I'm telling you, it turns into light. And let me explain to you what the nakud of the struggle is and why it happens. That's what you would tell him. This kind of validation is doing both at the same time. Validation pshat is, I'm supposed to feel like I'm normal, not that I'm right. It's zwei besondere Sachen. And if we do it to ourselves, then once a person feels they're normal, then ask him to hear that they're wrong. But why? Because I'm not crazy. I have what's going on. I was wondering, it only happens to me. You say this, so your erech comes back, your yeshiva das comes back. Then you say, and it was also the toys. So then I could think. I could try to think, so what do I do next? So, see, that's what I did wrong. Okay, so very good. So let me try the other way. It could take 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Okay, Sheva Yipol Tzadik will come. There's always zach. When a person is explaining the Tachas Abriya to them, if you remember that this is the Tachas Abriya, then you have what's going on. You understand. We gave a big nisayon before, we mentioned. A person feels that someone lied to him. We gave an example, a shidduch. It's 10 years later. Nish gelernt, nish parnasa. He's not in koil, he's nothing. And he's like, okay, he's not the best boy in Lakewood. But epis, tam, go, nish zu Gott, nish zu light. You know, they say. And you're eating yourself up. Now, it's a bit hard nisayon. It's not a simple nisayon. It's day to day. The person feels that the child, they had a just beautiful child, and the child is suffering now, and they feel that they're to blame, others to blame. It's not a simple nisayon. It goes into different parts of the nefesh that are very, very deep and sensitive. But if we try to zoom out, let's zoom out. Let's remind ourselves. So David created the Bria. What was the tachlis? David said he's going to do this. Like when David by the Bris ben Absalom, he's telling Avraham Avinu, okay, so let's now map it out. How does this going to look? It's going to be this golus, and then this golus, and this golus. Let me explain to you what's going to happen. If you're in it, and you're the only one, and you only see the person that did it to you, then it's so hard. It's tough. So now a person feels, so what are you going to tell me? That if I feel terrible, if I'm so upset, if I'm so disappointed, then I'm a koifer. Thank you. You're not helping me. You're not bringing me closer to the boy in Shalom, and it's not no solution to my issue. If a person understands what's validation, what is it? It's happening that you're normal. It's also understanding why human nature is going to do this, is going to think that way, and now, let me teach you. And now our job is to fight that. When you see a child, a person that was machanach, many, many children, he's a child acting a certain way. You don't get frustrated with a child so much, you know why? Because you feel it's age appropriate. You're not upset at him, but you also don't tell him that they're right. You say no, and the kid lays on the floor and kicks. And you're not upset, your be'em is not upset at the child. Why? Because you feel it's age appropriate. That's why you have to have like 10 teenagers not to get frustrated at the 11th. Because really that's the pshat. We get verloren. We get like, what are you doing? You're not normal. You're not normal. You're ruining your life. Stop and think. But once you have it's age appropriate. This is a system. This is the Rebbeinu Shem. So afterwards, you can validate them. And not tell them that they're right, they're not. You're giving them the courtesy, the koved atzmi of a person, because that person. They want to feel that they're normal. You feel that they're normal. And then you could say, but it's not right. That helps a person grow. It's hard for us, so many times, to have that behiras, that clarity, that confidence, that love, and start at the same time. But really, that's what we need to do to ourselves. That's emes of validation when we're frustrated. Understanding why this chain of thought. You see a person the first time, you see your face, 20 to 23-year-old trying to make parnasa. First time. He came up with a massive idea. Someone told him in Koil that he could double 4 times. It's age appropriate. Now, if he doesn't want to listen to you, okay, that's also fine. It's also age appropriate. It doesn't mean that he's not going to have agmas nefesh. But I'm not going to have so much agmas nefesh. I don't think you're crazy. I think that you're young. It's you could be mechaber with the person. It's obazach. You find yourself talking that way. Validation shot is. It's a famous gaiva. It has a name. It's called gaiva. It's not supposed to be so sharp that you told someone. Again, use nice words, but by being accurate and honest and calling it by its name, it's not supposed to be you're scared to say that. When a person is emotionally healthy, you're not scared to call things by their name. Not scared. It's only when something is far. Any relationship, if you're scared to tell someone something or your child, it could be anybody. I should tell him, I shouldn't tell him. I don't know when you think is the right appropriate second, like by Bilam with the Rega. This is bedtime. I don't think I should say it by bedtime. It means the relationship is not stable, is not stark. Because if yes, you wouldn't be so petrified that person's going to be hurt. And the guy says, let's talk. Let's be honest. Let's be open. We can talk. Nothing's going to happen. Well, most of our relationships are not perfect. It looks like that. When something is far, you're petrified of it. Someone that's, they don't know if they should say, they shouldn't say that. When something is far, then it's very, very, very scary. But when someone's facing it, they're facing it, and this is what it is, and they're then they could talk about things. And it's not the most exciting, but it's not earth-shattering. The pshat is that person was so sharp to me, I don't want to meet him again. No. It's good. It's normal. One of the starkste Sachen that teenagers or anybody that wants to open up, they have issues. They don't know if I should talk to that person. Why? Because I don't know if they could handle it. I don't know what's going to be their reaction. They're going to fall apart. I can't be open with my parents. Of course I can. I can only tell what's going on. Beautiful. How are you kids doing? Amazing. It means they take what's the weather and they put it on all other areas as well. Why? Because I tried. They can't handle it. They're not made to handle it. We with ourselves, if a person can't handle that they're a Balgaiva or a Baltaiva, that they can't, don't bring me there. It was too sharp. No. What's the problem? Let's call it by its name. Now, it doesn't make Gaiva less problematic. It makes being honest the new norm. That's it. And then we could talk about it. We could work on it. And we could relate. It's emes, and things start moving. Issues start being solved because Dorten licht is where we can't solve issues because we're going around and around the whole time. So, to sum it up, the frustration that a person has, and when they feel that they lost it, when they feel they were in chaos, and they're blamed or they can't calm down about something, they know what it is, but now you have to verbalize it. If you're scared, if you feel that you're not being validated by saying that it's a problem in the Muna, it's the pshat is you're not understanding the story. The Maisa is, first part is validating that you're normal. Normal not because it's closer to right. Normal doesn't mean that it's not so gefährlich. No. It means I can understand where you're coming from. It makes a lot of sense. Must have been murder, this matzah that you were in. We could cry. But then, we say, and now let's be metapel in it. The tipul is, let's understand, in the matziv, with such a subconscious, which is so wrong, it's so hard. Now we're going to fix it with Yad D'Shmaya. It might be painful, but it's beautiful. And if you want to understand it even better, I'll explain to you the system of mankind. That's to verstehen that the Eibusher created the world that way. And that's why there's so much friction between family members. It makes sense. And it's the same horrible, the same time. It makes sense, the triggers, but if you work on your Mahalchei Machshava to be Bisadaf to sein, you're going to be able to live a much better life. Understand why it's Bedafka like that. It's never going to, the Olam Hazeh is never going to change course about a different Mahalach, how this Olam Hazeh works. It's going to be that way. This is the Mahalach of Olam Hazeh, the Proizda. This could also help us understand the concept of frustration when a person is not being successful in their ruchnias. They're not upset at anybody. They're so disappointed with themselves. It's like it brings them down. They tried this, they tried that, they know all these eights already 100 times. It's just not working out. Nisyonis, external, internal, all kinds of nisyonis. Many times people think, I can handle, maybe this needs something, but why do I have to handle everything at once? Tetris, the 9th level, when it's coming pouring down. Why? Let me work on one area. And they're very, very, very frustrated and disappointed. A person first understands and goes back to the Yisoidus Habriya. We could calm down about that as well. Because if we chap that normal and right are two different Yisoidus. So if we validate your frustration, the real validation is it makes sense that you should feel the way you feel, and you reached this matzav and you're this old and this is what you're up to. And you feel like you're messed up and you feel like it's years already, or you have this addiction, or whatever. It makes sense. It makes sense. It's one of the Yesodis that the Eibishter created the world with such a mahalach that this should be able to happen. Now, Punkt Azoivi, when the Eibishter gives Mozoin, Gashmi, when he gives, it says, V'ata nois lamas ochlam be'itoi. Be'itoi means that it's not there before. When a person has to do it on his own, they bring it, like before Pesach, he's already schlepping cases in Shvat. He's putting it away. Why? Because I don't know if there's going to be. The fish store said if you don't buy salmon now, then there's not going to be any. So you have to, but the Rebbe Shalom could bring Erev Pesach in the afternoon. It's not a problem. So there's no reason to take up your freezer space for months beforehand. The Eibusher gives Ochlam Be'itoi. Now this Be'itoi, the exact timing, is many times a second before dying. That means a person feels like it's a ness, I chapped it now, but really it's like, now I need a ness. I chapped it the last second. Okay, the last second is Beseda. It doesn't have to be really beforehand. It's like a little bit like when a person has a private plane. They're the last one on the plane, and they close the door and they go. If you're flying with somebody else and you're trying to catch it and you were the last one, you're like huffing and puffing. I made it. When the Eibishter gives it, it's like a private plane. It comes and it goes. It doesn't have to be there beforehand. And even if you felt that it should have been there beforehand, even if you had to do some money draining, whatever, this was the right time for many reasons. Selbe Sache is by Ruchnius. By Ruchnius, if you found out now that you could be helped, if you chap now the oimik from the problem you're in, something happened. You had an understanding. You're steiging. It's something. Why did it happen now? that you chapped it. It's a matana from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Don't use it to get miyush. Don't use it now to be so depressed. No, the concept that you chapped is already a shefa from the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's normal that in this world things should get very, very messed up. But the Torah says, Yesh kohen adom b'shal achas. The Gemara tells us the story of Reb Loza ben Dordai, and the Baskel said that even though he only did tshuva the last minute, Yesh kohen adom b'shal achas. So if this is the time that you chapped, that you're in a mess, it's the first step to salvation. I mean, Pshat is, the Eibusha gave you something. The das is something the Eibusha gave you. It's a problem what happened, but it's not, it's devastating when you're looking back. But it's normal that this could happen. Such a situation could happen. Sometimes this is what happens. The doctor could say that about a prognosis. They give a certain type of medication, and they say, let's see if this is going to work for you. And okay, a week ago, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's crazy side effects. Then they say, yeah, it could happen. So why you give me that? Because this is what we do. This is what makes sense. This is the mahalach, and this could happen. So what do we do now? We stop this medication. Now we need to wait 2 weeks, so it should leave your body, and then we're going to fix it up. We're going to give you something else. So you're normal. It's also not good for you. And it makes sense. Everything in the behavior of a person. If a person forgets to learn Torah, then it could look messy. Yep, it could look very messy. If a person forgot the Chaz Amun and Bitochen, and they're faced with a very deep nisayon, and they fell through badly, and they feel they hurt someone in the process, very normal. It's very, very normal. But you have to understand that it has a tachlis. The tachlis is that sometimes we learn from mistakes better than we learn in the text. So it's not so devastating if you have the broader picture. It's a big issue what happened, but tshuva mehava, the Eibusha created a system of tshuva. The Eibusha created a system of tshuva mehava, which not only turns everything around, it also turns the Avedas into mitzvahs. If you learn it to grow, sometimes you see people, it's fascinating, they have such depth from the mistakes that they made, that then they could grow so deep. And not only that, David Abalach says, sometimes you could use it to help others, because now I could help people chap where the mistake is. So it's fascinating. You could do with your mistakes tons. The same concept of stop being so frustrated, disappointed, yes. Embarrassed, of course, that's vidui. Embarrassed of this mahalach, that's vidui. But now, afterwards, understand that the Eibusha created a world that this should be able to happen. And he also created an exact formula what to do when you chap. And it's official. And everybody has to go through this. And as many tikkunim a person goes through from learning from their mistakes. So now it's devastating, but it makes sense. Don't stay with that frustration. Use it. Push it. Use it. Instead of saying that it makes no sense, say it makes very much sense. Change the term. It makes a lot of sense. The mother of little children, let's say, she's trying to daven, it makes no sense, I can't daven. It makes a lot of sense, you can't daven. Change the nusach in your mind. So now let's see what we do. It makes sense. This little switch in the mind brings you back on track. So there's a manak labira, there's a system. The system is working out. The massive is fascinating. And this is what happened. We're going to fix it. It brings the person back to come and be here, be present, face it, and work with it. And it gives you the geschmack to do it. It doesn't say that the Aveda is lesser chum. It's a lot of reviewing. It needs thousands of times to be reviewed in the mind, but we have to be able to look at this perspective of life. This perspective of life helps us do tshuva. It helps us be emotionally healthy. It helps us understand what's happening with us. It helps us validate others as well. Okay, tell the Chacham Yech Kamoid.